In the 7th year after the Hijrah, after the Muslims of Medina had signed a temporary peace treaty with the Quraysh in Hudaybiyah, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ turned his attention to the north, where the powerful Jewish tribes of Khaybar had long posed a serious threat to the safety and stability of the Islamic State. These tribes, well equipped and settled in a series of impregnable fortresses, had actively participated in plots against Islam, including financing battles like Uhud and confederating with the Quraysh during the Battle of the Trench. The strategic location of Khaybar, its wealth and its military power, made it a source of constant unrest, and its leaders were not merely passive observers but active conspirators against the Muslim cause. Recognizing the danger, the Prophet ﷺ led a carefully organized campaign with approximately 1,400 devoted companions toward Khaybar. The Muslims marched through the darkness of night, arriving at the outskirts of Khaybar before dawn, and began a methodical siege of the forts. The inhabitants of Khaybar were stunned to find the Muslims at their gates without warning. Fort after fort, the Muslims battled courageously, capturing them one by one. Yet the most formidable challenge awaited them at the final and strongest fort, Qamus, guarded by the legendary warrior Marhab, a giant of a man who was feared across Arabia. His armor was thick, his sword deadly, and his presence terrifying. He had never been defeated in combat, and his fortress stood like a mountain of resistance. The Muslims tried to break the fort for several days. Each day a new commander would lead the army, and each day the defenders of Qamus would push them back with fierce resistance. Morale was becoming low, and then came a night that changed everything. As the exhausted Muslim army camped under the stars, the Prophet ﷺ made a glorious declaration that would become one of the most celebrated moments in Islamic history. He said, "Tomorrow I will give the banner to a man who loves Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him. Allah will grant victory at his hands." These words lit the camp like fire. Who among them was that beloved man? Even the senior companions, including Abu Bakr and Umar ar-Rayy, silently hoped they might be the one chosen. The next morning, as the companions gathered with eager hearts, the Prophet ﷺ asked, "Where is Ali ibn Abi Talib?" The people replied that Ali ar-Rayy was suffering from a severe eye infection. His eyes were swollen shut, and he was in intense pain. But the Prophet ﷺ smiled and asked that Ali ar-Rayy be brought to him. When Hazrat Ali was brought forward, weak and in discomfort, the Prophet ﷺ took his blessed saliva and gently applied it to Ali's eyes, making a heartfelt supplication. In an instant, Ali ar-Rayy opened his eyes, completely healed, with his vision stronger than ever. The pain had disappeared like a passing cloud, and in its place rose the burning strength of faith and purpose. The Prophet ﷺ handed him the banner of Islam, declaring him the commander of the Muslim army for that day, and prophesied that through his hands, Allah would grant them victory. With the flag of Islam in his hand and the name of Allah in his heart, Hazrat Ali ar-Rayy advanced toward the fort of Qamus. As he neared the gates, the enemy inside mocked him and the Muslims. But Ali ar-Rayy, undaunted, called for a duel. From the enemy lines, the towering Marhab emerged, fully armed, sword in hand, his head covered in iron, his reputation as a killer of many etched in the hearts of all who faced him. He stepped forward proudly, reciting lines of poetry about his unmatched valor. "Khaybar knows that I am Marhab, armed to the teeth, a skilled fighter. When war is kindled, I stand unshaken." Hazrat Ali ar-Rayy, never one to fear, replied in poetry as well, stating with noble pride, "I am the one my mother named Haidar the lion. Like a lion of the jungle, I strike with my sword until my enemy falls." The two warriors clashed in a duel that would echo through centuries. Marhab, towering in stature and protected by heavy armor, struck with fury, but Hazrat Ali ar-Rayy, holding the sword Zulfiqar, parried his blows with unmatched agility and strength. Then, with a single decisive strike, Ali ar-Rayy brought down his sword upon Marhab's head, slicing through his helmet and splitting his skull. The warrior fell, his legend ended by the blade of a man who was beloved to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The enemy, stunned by the fall of their champion, scrambled back into the fortress, shutting the gates in desperation. But Ali ar-Rayy would not be stopped. Fueled by divine strength and certainty of faith, he marched toward the massive iron gate of the fortress, and in an act that would become one of the most astonishing feats in Islamic history, he ripped the door from its hinges with his bare hands, using it as a shield to advance and protect the Muslim troops. That door, historians later wrote, could not be lifted even by 7 men together, but Ali ar-Rayy, granted strength from the heavens, carried it alone. Behind him the Muslims charged, and soon they breached the fortress. Qamus was captured, and with it fell the pride of Khaybar. The defenders of the other forts, shaken by this display of divine-supported courage, surrendered swiftly. The Prophet ﷺ accepted their request for peace, allowing the Jews to remain on their land and cultivate it in exchange for giving half their produce to the Muslims. The Treaty of Khaybar became a model of balanced victory, justice with mercy, strength without cruelty.
Through this campaign, the Islamic State grew not just in power but in dignity and wealth. Yet above all else, the Battle of Khaybar became forever associated with Hazrat Ali, whose courage, loyalty and deep love for Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had emerged as not only a commander, but a symbol of bravery and divine support. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam words had proven true. Ali was not just a man who loved Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but was truly loved by them in return. In him was the reflection of pure faith, obedient, fearless and unwavering. Despite illness and pain, he answered the call of his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam without hesitation. Despite facing a warrior as formidable as Marhab, he did not flinch, and despite the weight of an iron gate that none could lift, he raised it with a strength not of muscle but of iman. His actions at Khaybar were not mere military victories, they were lessons written in golden ink for the generations to come, that true strength comes from submission, that victory is given by Allah to those who are sincere, that love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not proven by words but by action and sacrifice. Hazrat Ali did not fight for glory or wealth, he fought for truth, for justice, and for the pleasure of Allah. And in doing so, he carved a name for himself in the very heart of Islam. Khaybar was a battle, yes, but for Ali it was a moment of divine manifestation. He had become the embodiment of courage, the lion of Allah, the conqueror of Khaybar, and a pillar of Islamic history. Even centuries later, believers recall that day with pride and love, where the banner of Islam rose high over the strongest fortress, not by numbers, not by wealth, but by the arm of one man, powered by his faith in Allah and his devotion to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.